Welcome back to Morning at NTV, and this is a Take Note segment, and today we'll be talking about the budget in relation to the teachers' welfare. We know UNATU has been in the past few weeks in a battle with government with regards to the teachers' salaries increment, and in studio we have Mr. Baguma Philbert Bates, who is the General Secretary of Uganda National Teachers Union, which we commonly known as UNATU. Welcome to studio.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sure you said that with the current budget that has been allocated for this coming year, 2018-2019, you are ready for war. And just to inform the public, the viewers, why this is so, and actually why you're saying this, is because the education sector has been allocated for 2.4 trillion shillings, and this is down from 2.5 trillion shillings that was allocated in this closing financial year 2017-2018. And that's a big gap. That's a big decrease, and it's down by 0.5%. And so the government, in its defense, came out to say that this is because the funds for gratuity have been withdrawn from the midterm, expenditure framework, and also the other reason is they will see a projected fall in the donor budget component. As the representative, the big person in UNATU, what's your take on this?
Yeah, first of all, the government of Uganda has not lived to its commitment because education budget should be 20% of the national budget.
Correct.
And this has not been reached in the recent years. And now instead of increasing, we are steadily decreasing. And amidst the decrease, we are also looking at a situation where we are saying we want to have quality education.
Correct.
Now, we cannot have quality education unless we have invested in education. First of all, leave alone the decreasing figures and percentages within this budget. We have a number of education institutions without heads. Every school, by planning and by policy, is supposed to have a head teacher. Some should have principals, head instructors, but you find a situation where we are having institutions and the teachers who are heading them are referred to as caretakers. And the word caretaker does not exist anywhere in government policies. So they just use it. Now, a scenario where you have a squatter heading an institution and you are demanding to have quality education, these two do not match.
Correct.
Because that means there is a problem in planning. The salary, when you look at the economic situation in the country, both at household level, you will find and realize that the salary the teachers get is not commensurate to what they do. And they cannot help them have a living that is decent compared to what they do.
Correct.
And we have, for a long time, presented these issues to government. Recently, when they came out, they said, now we are going to give teachers of science only, and then the arts will wait.
Yes.
But our position was that if you have children and you have food which is not enough, you cannot starve some at the expense of others and say, for now, since the food is little, we are going to give part of the children and the others will have their meal later. That is unfortunate. And we said this is not really what even our constitution talks about.
And what are the science teachers saying? Because they're part of UNATU as well.
Of course, if they brought food and we are all hungry,
yes,
and they said you are now going to eat, would you first think of what will happen to me who is not going to eat? Or you first eat and then you will look at me yawning and suffering at the end of the day?
Many times I'll eat and then look at you
now,
yawning.
That would be a scenario where now the beneficiaries of our education would be the sufferers. Because, of course, if you discriminate among the teachers, now the sufferer will be the learner who is innocent, who is not part of whatever is taking place. And we have categorically put it to government that, yes, increment is good. But when you are making increment, it should be for the good, but not for the bad.
Correct.
And therefore, if we are teachers, we have gone to school. You have taken mathematics, biology as your subjects. I have taken English literature as my subjects. You have a bachelor's, I have a bachelor's. When we come to the field, pairs as teachers
equally
with bachelors of education.
Correct.
But when you begin saying, now, this one teaches biology, for you the fact that you teach English and the country is looking at science as the only way to develop, therefore for you, you are going to remain here and I give the one of biology. You are forgetting that even the biology you are talking about is taught in English.
True.
Now our position is to pay these two teachers the same salary, and because you have interest in science, which we all have interest in, add an allowance, reasonable allowance on top of this salary.
On top of this salary.
But the salary for the teacher with a bachelor's in education should be the same salary. So that you are not seen to discriminate
against the
others.
Okay, and the other issue that actually came out in 2011, UNATU got into an agreement with government, and they agreed on a 15% increment that will cut across
50.
all this 15%.
It was 50%.
Was it 50?
Yes.
Okay, 50%.
Across the 3 years.
Correct, across the 3 years. And this was just paid in the first 2 installments, and we saw a lag. It was not fulfilled. And so right now, UNATU came out to say that we are against the phasing of the salary increment. You want the increment to be done in a wholesome way. Do you think the government can afford it?
Oh, of course, you see, we have experience, and they say experience is the best teacher. In 2011, we were demanding 100% salary increment from government. We negotiated and they put it to us that they didn't have the money. We said, okay, let us agree. And they said we can only get 50%. But even this 50% is not available as a one-off. So we are going to phase it in 3 years. But you can get surprised that in the counting of government, from 2011 to 2018, the 3 years have not come to an end. And therefore, first year, we were supposed to get 15. We got it and said, yes, the government is fulfilling its commitment. And that was across the board. Second year, the 20% that we were supposed to get did not come. Government did not communicate. We had the running industrial actions, and of course that year they did not pay it. They paid it in the subsequent financial year, and they gave us 25%. We now waited for the last 15%. The last 15%, when it came, they only paid primary subsector and left post-primary completely. And there was no reason given. And this caused overlaps in the salary scales. We put it to them, and we were still asking them. This is a government that made a commitment to the teachers of this country. You have not fulfilled the previous commitment. Now you are saying you are going to increase for one category and leave the other. And there is nothing even communicated. So we said, no, this can't happen.
So your major issue is lack of communication on the side of government.
Lack of communication and commitment. The government has structures, but it does not respect the structures. Because when you enter commitment with the teachers of this country, and they go back to class to teach, they are teaching waiting for your commitment, which you made.
Yes.
And then at the end of the day, you don't have the money. Yes, it can be understood, but you even cannot communicate.
Correct.
So the persons responsible should be held accountable and responsible.
UNATU also, together with NOTU, you have thrown out a threat to government and said that if we do not see the salary increment done, you know, in a way that is not discriminative, that all the teachers in all the subsectors are actually catered for when it comes to salary increment, and based on your parameters that you actually give government, you will go to strike. You will we will actually experience industrial action on the 23rd of July this year. Are you still
Not
on
July.
course? Yes.
Actually, June.
Now it has come closer.
The notice expires on the 23rd
of June, not July now.
It's not July.
Are you still on course with that?
We gave a notice in March, and the 90 days expire on 23rd June.
Correct.
And obviously, we are on course, we are on countdown, and come 23rd June, the days expire, 25th June, we shall remain at home and wait for communication from government, because as if they have become dumbfounded, they cannot communicate, so we shall have no option but to keep at home.
So you're still on with that plan?
We are on.
And nothing will shake you?
We are very ready for it.
But sir, I asked the other question. Right now already we are seeing a reduction in the allocation for the education sector in this coming financial year. Yes. And we've seen the reduction is actually significant. 0.5% is big, yet we still have issues of pending salary increments, so to speak. Yes. Don't you think that it's an issue of government not being able to actually afford it? And on your side as UNATU, don't you think you can actually come to a reasonable point of, you know, negotiation with government, so we don't experience the industrial action that you plan on taking on this, actually this month on the 23rd?
For us, we have been open to negotiations, and we are still open to negotiations. But like I said, the spirit of government, because what makes them fail, we have got a negotiation machinery. We have got the National Negotiating and Consultative Council. What fails government to negotiate? When we go for the meeting and officials say, this is the position of government, is that negotiation? So if it is the position of government, is that negotiating, or you have come to inform us? And therefore, if that is the case, then we shall have no option but to go for industrial action. Now, industrial action normally comes as a last resort.
Okay.
Within the 90 days, where is the willingness and spirit of coming out to say, look, this is what government has, this is what we are able to meet, this is what will follow next, and then people continue doing their work. But you just say, this is what government can afford, this is what government has. You are not even committing yourself to say, yes, because of the financial constraints, this is what we have managed to get as for this financial year.
Okay.
And the rest will come on board next financial year. Put it in writing, so that even when they are waiting, they know what they are waiting for.
Okay.
You cannot simply say, now we have managed only to give these, how about others?
So you need them to
when
come.
will it come?
So you need them to come open, have a table ground
Yes.
for you to, for the two parties to actually sit and agree and document the agreement so that both parties can be held accountable.
Why not? We are stakeholders in this country.
Okay.
We
There's
belong
another
to
issue.
This country.
There's this other issue that you're saying government should make a public apology for ordering for the Nakaseke district teachers to go through the PLE examinations yet again. Don't you think their move was actually just to make sure they address the issue of quality education and whether these teachers are actually, you know, in a position to hold the teaching roles in an excellent way?
Actually, it was not government. It was the LC5 chairperson of Nakaseke. First of all, we have procedures and policies that we are supposed to follow. So you can't be reactive and you think you are going to solve a problem. First of all, if it is realized that the teachers in Nakaseke have failed to perform their duties, what is it that you have done, that you have on file, that you have used the available measures and procedures and have failed, and therefore you resort to giving teachers primary leaving examination? Now, when you give primary leaving examinations to teachers, how is the correlation between the results of PLE by the teachers and their performance in the classrooms? What certification are you going to give those who will pass? What will you do to those who will fail? Because they are appointed and confirmed in service.
Maybe they'll be dropped down?
What has the district done to support the teachers to perform their work?
But sir, we've been having, and on the show a few weeks ago, we were actually sampling views of students, primary level students, who actually, most of them say that, you know what, we are scared because our teachers themselves are not well qualified. This is a student who is saying this. Maybe it's a smart student who, when engaging with the teacher in class, is like, is this teacher of mine really qualified? Because it seems like I know so much than the teacher. So why are you against this? Or probably, what proposal then do you have to ensure that we clean up the education system, the education sector, and ensure that we have qualified teachers doing this teaching?
First of all, I wouldn't want us to abuse the word teacher.
Okay.
Because we have a challenge in this country where every Tom, Dick, and Harry who stands in front of learners is referred to as a teacher. But for you to be a teacher, it means you have done a recognized course in the teacher training college, recognized by government, and you are registered. And for you to reach there, you must have done PLE, you must have passed O-level, you must have gone to a teacher training college, and you qualify. You must have done probation, period. You must, now after that, you have entered.
And at this...
But before you enter the teaching profession, they advertise and appoint you. You face the District Service Commission. So if all these systems are weak, then you don't blame the teacher.
Blame the system.
Who is there.
Yes.
It means something is fundamentally wrong. And we need to correct that. But when you say a teacher, first of all, we don't expect a teacher to take himself as the most intelligent person. Even when you are teaching learners, it doesn't mean that you are cleverer than they are.
Yes.
You are guiding them through the process. Some of them are intellectuals, and you can teach them, by the way, and you do the same exam, which you are teaching them.
And they pass the new.
And they defeat you.
Yes.
That is not a miracle. Because we have intellectual conscience, which is different.
Correct.
But for us to say that the teachers have failed to do the work, and the only measure we have is for them to do exams. Who is going to set those exams in the first place?
It is them.
You must go to look for a teacher.
Yes.
To set them. Who is going to mark?
So you
must still go to the teacher.
So your issue is on the structure of recruitment. There's a weak link right there. And let me ask you a question as we come to a close.
Yes.
Now that you are saying that this is not the right method just to, establish whether these teachers are actually qualified or not. We've been seeing this phenomenon in Uganda where
Yes.
the middle class who can afford it are actually taking their children out of the country to study. Many have lost, confidence in the education system in Uganda.
Yes.
As UNATU, what are you doing to handle and tackle that?
Now, first of all, there is where we reach and it becomes survival for the fittest. I want to say taking children to study abroad has not started today.
Mm-hmm.
It has been there, maybe the degree of the number of those who go outside. It is also true that in Uganda we have competent persons who have gone through our education system and they are doing the right job. Therefore, generalizing to say that the teachers in this country cannot teach becomes a fallacy.
Okay.
However, it is also true that we can have weak areas which need improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to go is, first of all, if someone has gone through the education system and has qualified as a teacher, and this teacher has been appointed to go and teach, is the environment and the system where the teacher is working supportive enough to make this teacher deliver the expected results? If not, then we have to look at what is it wrong that makes these teachers not perform to the expectations of the stakeholders.
So issue-based investigations.
Yes.
That is what can help
procedures
us.
are there for those who have failed to meet the expectations. But if you come out with punitive measures, obviously that are not provided for in our policies, we shall put a very big no as teachers, because we belong to a profession,
yes.
and the profession must be respected, because every person in this country who can read and write is a product of the teacher.
I totally
and
hear
therefore
you.
should not at any one time try to dehumanize the teaching profession and the teachers.
I totally hear you, and personally I have a big respect for teachers, especially them that are in kindergarten level. You can imagine the hustle they go through just to make sure that these young people understand. So thank you so much for coming in studio. We really truly hope that you come to an amicable solution between the teachers and the government. That has been the discussion for today. Make sure you tune in for the budget reading that is scheduled to take place today. That has been Morning at 10 TV. My name is Malaki Vilodera. Do have a fruitful day.